Welcome to my metabolic reset guide for women 40 to 65 plus years old. This is a science-backed guide for women who want to improve their metabolism, have sustainable fat loss, and a body that finally makes sense without starving themselves or living in the gym. So who the heck am I? My name is Adam Trevino, and my own journey started whenever I was focusing on dieting myself. I was focusing on trying to drop about 50 pounds, which I was successfully able to accomplish, but it also included me removing carbs, being on keto, just completely killing myself in the gym. And it was all very unsustainable for myself. As I started to go into the workforce for myself specifically, eventually cravings started to creep up. I had hormonal issues. I was all bloated. I had chronic fatigue, lots of brain fog. And so I just realized it was not a matter of just eating less and moving more. That was the advice that was going to help myself at that point. And so it actively started to backfire on me. So I realized that after working with lots of women myself and getting myself into really good shape, I was starting to get asked, "Hey, Adam, how are you even doing this?" And as that started to evolve, a lot of women started to come to me. And so thus I gave birth to this 3-phase metabolic reset guide that I want to share with you, so that way you can avoid the issues that I personally face whenever I try to get myself into better shape. So how do I know how to actually implement a metabolic reset guide? And how do I even know that what I'm doing is actually helping women get into better shape? I've helped over 1,000 women, and they've used this exact same method to reclaim their health, their metabolism, improve their hormones, improve their confidence, feel better in their own skin. And this is exactly what I wanted to share with each of you who are joining on this video, is that you don't need to do this with the endless grind, either spending hours in the kitchen or spending hours doing cardio. And so you can see here from my client, Anna, she's been able to transform. My client, Adrienne, my client, Davida, who have all spent time with me over 6 months, really getting into better shape. And I've helped many, many, many other women. And this is just a handful, but these are some of my personal favorite testimonials that you can see here. So again, my client, Maria, my client, Jen, my client, Lisa, all women who have spent a good time with me being able to get into better shape. And you can even catch some of our testimonial videos on my YouTube. So feel free to check those out. When it comes to the next part on why we feel like this is so difficult and why it feels a lot harder than it should, it's because you are being told to essentially eat fewer calories and cut carbs, train hard, do more cardio, hit classes, Pilates, fast, try the GLPs, which I know for many of you have been a very important option to consider. The big thing is that you've never actually been organized or have accomplished anything that has helped you get to this point when it comes to your fitness, but you've done that in your personal life. And so again, you've been given the frameworks to be able to excel in your personal life, but you've never been given the framework that matches the way that your personal metabolism have worked. So the goal is that we don't want you overeating. We don't want you inconsistent. We don't want you unmotivated, and we don't want you undisciplined. You've just been given the wrong information. And that's something that has not been your fault. That's just the result of many different things online that have probably overwhelmed you and made you essentially second guess what you've been following in terms of your overall plan. And I know there's so much conflicting information online, so that's extremely frustrating as well. So when it comes to understanding your metabolism, we want to understand what that missing piece is. And so for your metabolism, it isn't just one thing that's causing these issues. It's a collection of things. And so again, this is essentially what makes fat loss feel nearly impossible. So when it comes to your energy, we want to make sure that we're getting a clear understanding of how you're utilizing fuel throughout the day, and why that even with fueling your body and doing things right, quote unquote, you still feel drained. When it comes to your fat storage, when your body chooses to store fat or burn fat is completely dictated by how far your hormones are coming along, as well as how many calories you're consuming as well. The third thing is your digestion. You want to know how efficiently you break down and absorb nutrients, and how chronic dieting slows this process dramatically. And of course, again, with your hormones, the chemical messengers that control your hunger, your stress response, as well as your recovery, that a lot of diets completely ignore. We want to fix that problem. So you have to also understand, when it comes to your metabolism, you want to understand why things are happening the way that they're happening. So you've probably cut calories extremely low. Maybe you're eating 600, 800 calories, 1,000 calories. That's still very low. And so when stress stays high, sleep stays inconsistent, you're training excessively, a lot of this triggers a bunch of this response that's happening to your body. So you burn fewer calories, your hunger increases, your energy reduces, your stress increases, your body starts to hold on to more fat. And so again, I want to make sure that whatever we implement with this, we're able to reverse that pattern. So we got to get a really clear understanding of how your body works. So step one, evaluate your symptoms. Are you any of these things here? Low energy, poor sleep quality, having consistent cravings, higher stress, higher mood fluctuations, heavy caffeine reliance? That's an issue. We need to evaluate that. Step two is that we need to get a really clear 2-week baseline. This isn't, again, about perfection. It's about observation. So for about 2 weeks or 14 days, I want you to start eating at a consistent mealtime daily. So a scheduled routine, set reminders in your phone, prioritize whole foods 80% of the time, set a realistic protein target. My goal target that I typically like to aim for is at least minimum 140 grams per day. I have another guide on my YouTube that talks about this specifically. Keep a journal. So track your energy, your digestion, your hunger, your calories, and your mood. Take some daily walks and strength train 3 or 4 times per week. Again, I have another guide on my YouTube on how you can start implementing a good strength training routine. Make sure to check that out. Of course, increasing water intake and avoid drastic calorie cuts. We don't need to be eating below 1,000 calories. It's going to crush your metabolism. The next thing is, after those 2 weeks are done, you also want to get a clear signal about what you need next. So both paths are correct here. It just really depends on you and where you're essentially starting from. If fat loss has already begun, great. Energy levels are stable, great. Your body is primed and you're responsive. So that means that you're ready to go into phase 2. If you still need more priming, progress feels stuck, energy is inconsistent, your body needs metabolic restoration before fat loss can happen effectively. Again, neither outcome is a failure. You just need to know what your next step is when it comes to making sure you have clarity on what it is that you've done before. Okay, so how do you prime your metabolism? If your body is showing signs of metabolic stress, priming is the fastest way to make sure this happens, to this increase the fat loss to have effectiveness again. So think of this phase as preparing the soil before the planting of the actual tree. So you want to start increasing calories slowly. Gradually increasing allows you to have more satiety, more signals of safety, stops the protective adaptations that happen from blocking progress. Number 2, you're able to stabilize blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Your sleep improves, digestion improves, recovery improves. And then as of course, you're starting to exercise and include strength training, you're starting to build lean muscle and reduce that stress load on your body. So this is how fat loss starts to actually work. So what are you doing now? You have a moderate strategic calorie deficit. You're protein centered with every single meal. Again, 2 to 3 days of strength training. You don't need 5 or 6 or 7. Daily walking, low intensity cardio, zone 2 heart rate, consistent hydration, normal steady energy levels. What you don't do is cut carbs excessively. You don't need to do endless cardio sessions. You don't need to spend hours in the gym, something I'm probably sure that you've already started to do. And when it comes to your overall experience, this is what ends up happening. Your fat decreases, muscle definition increases, digestion improves, your clothes start to fit better, your energy levels start to feel good, you're confident in your skin again, you're lighter, you're clearer, you're stronger. That's what we want to start aiming for. Okay. So how do you maintain these results without dieting forever? And so again, this is where most programs start to overlook, because they give you those first 60, 75, 90 days. And then afterwards, it's like, how the heck do I even sustain this? So once you've lost the fat, your body needs time to stabilize at this new point. And this is where your transformation actually becomes true identity change. It's not just an effort point. So you want to slowly raise your calories to maintenance, transition from tracking to intuition. I always tell my ladies, get that mental snapshot of your portion sizes. That way you can start making changes to your meals. So that way you have to be tied to your journal all the time. Third, build a long-term strength and movement habits. This is now part of your routine now. You're weightlifting 3 or 4 times per week. You've got a good solid schedule. And then create your default day structure. So you've got your meals that you can plan out, your weekends to plan out, vacations all can fit without sabotaging your entire progress. You now have good flexibility. It's a feature of what you follow. It is not a flaw. So that's what we want. We want this to be fun and enjoyable for yourself. And so again, this is how the 3 phases of the metabolic reset look at a glance. 500-foot overview. You assess and prime, you get your fat loss, you learn how to maintain. Okay. You can do this on your own. You can do this on your own. Here's all the details here. Here are all the answers. This is why your body's not responding. This is what your metabolism needs. This is how to evaluate. This is how to restore your function, how to lose fat predictably, and how to maintain your results forever. On the flip side, you don't have to do this alone. If you've tried to implement this multiple times, you've tried to implement the changes, you tried to follow it, but something happens, life challenges, you've perhaps maybe seen you're still stuck at that point where you haven't been able to excel past that point. I get it. You lead a demanding life. You're parenting, right? You've got partnerships. You've got a career that you're proud of. You have a household to take care of. Your time and energy and mental bandwidth matter. And so putting all of this together takes a lot of time, effort, and an investment on your part to put together in terms of that mental headspace I'm talking about. So this is where I personally come in and help ladies just like you. You saw the testimonials, at least a handful of them. And this is a sign that we can be able to implement this and take that heavy lifting off your shoulders. So this is where we can be a little bit more smarter. You have someone to report to. We can analyze those things on your own and make the adjustments. You just follow it. We determine your exact calorie consumption without having to have any guesswork. We make the adjustments on a week-to-week basis, and we troubleshoot the plateaus. You're going to hit a wall eventually. How do you break out of it and maintain the momentum? This is what we ultimately implement. And so for your next step, in the link or in the description box below, you'll see this entire guide. You can download it, you can follow it, pull it up on your phone. But this is also an area where you can set aside some time to chat with me personally. And so this is, again, just a starting point, right? You can experiment with it. But again, I want to make sure that you do have that full personalized support that allows you to remove all of the guesswork. So that way you don't have to mess around trying to figure out all of this stuff on your own. It can take a lot of time to figure it out. And I have no doubt that you can get to that goal of yours. But if you've been spinning your wheels for a long time, you've still stay in a consistent routine. You're still very disciplined as a human being, but you just haven't gotten to where you want to go. This is where we can, again, get eyeballs and everything. That way you can look and feel your best year round. You get to wear the outfits that you want. You get to be in that bikini come summertime. You're able to overcome the Christmas holidays, the holiday seasons, things like that. That way you can do that in less time and with less effort. Okay. So this is exactly where you can book a call with me personally. Just simply scroll down, pick a time. There's a couple of questions that I'll ask you. For example, if you click this, there's a few things. Hey, what are your goals? What are your challenges? Have you worked with the coach before? Or what's your occupation? Things like that. And of course, where you found me. And then if you have more questions, you can simply click here. I don't know if you can see my face, but this will take you to my personal Instagram page and you can shoot me a message. Again, this is where you can get into contact with me. I want to make sure that we can go through any questions you may have. But again, this is just about making sure that this is the best fit for you and that I can ultimately help you out with your goals. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this guide is helpful for you. Again, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos on my page. I post pretty much weekly on topics like this. If you have questions, comment them down below. If you want to reach out to me personally, again, my Instagram is there. And then of course, if you want more personalized support, simply book a call. I'd be happy to talk to you. All right. We'll see you in the next video.